What's going on, guys? So we have a really cool video for you today. It is absolutely beautiful out here. It's in the mid-60s, finally. You're taking a look at our 2023 GMC Sierra Denali 1500 pickup with the 3-liter LZO Duramax diesel engine, the baby Duramax. And next to it is a Toyota Tundra. So this is going to be an interesting video because I actually have my brother here today, and you may recognize him.
Hey everyone.
Brother, me. So this is going to be cool because every time I post a video on a domestic truck, everyone's like, you got to buy a Tundra, you got to review a Tundra, or Tundra's better. And the interesting thing here is the Toyota Tundra is actually more US built than a lot of domestic trucks. It's made in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's like right down the street here. So it's always been made there. At least this newer generation of Toyota Tundra has always been made in Texas, which is super cool. So we're going to talk about this. My brother loves his truck. He is a Toyota Tundra junkie.
My baby.
And this is a cool thing. So when he decided to bring the family up here to visit, he actually, instead of going to like Enterprise or Hertz or Avis, he actually went to the Toyota dealership to see if he could rent one of their trucks to drive up here so he didn't put the miles on his.
Yeah, our local Toyota dealership, which is actually where my Tundra started its life, was sold from the local Panama City Toyota. And I bought it from the original owner, which I didn't know that it was originally sold for Panama City until I brought it in for its first oil change. And they said, yeah, we sold this truck many years ago. I said, oh, that's cool. So full circle there with the truck. Brought it back to its home dealership.
So yeah, so he's a big Toyota guy, and you guys had an Avalon for a while, right? Is this your first Toyota pickup, though?
Actually, it is, yes. I've had Fords, I've had Chevys, I've had Nissans. But this is my favorite truck so far that I've owned, yes. This is my first Toyota. My wife drives a Toyota 4Runner, and she absolutely loves it. It's her dream car. She's always wanted a 4Runner, and she couldn't imagine herself driving anything else. And I love the 4Runner as well. My Tundra's only 2-wheel drive. I don't ever find myself in a need of 4-wheel drive, so I went out and purchased this knowing that 2-wheel drive is just fine for me. I knew the gas mileage wasn't the best on the Tundras, but I knew the 4-wheel drive had even worse gas mileage than the 2-wheel drive. But yeah, that's probably the only complaint I have of the truck is the gas mileage.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible, actually.
That's it. I mean, the whole trip over here, I averaged about 16.5 miles per gallon on the highway. And I know that it's probably because of the suspension kit that I put on it. I did a full Eibach suspension kit from Toy Tech Lifts. I think the front I went up 2 inches, the rear I went up 1.5. It improved the comfort, the driving comfort, because the stock suspension was very bumpy, it was very rough. And when I updated to the Eibach suspension kit, it was night and day. It rides very nice now, especially on the highway. I enjoy driving it on the highway. So I contacted our local Toyota dealership, which has a rental department, and I asked them if I could reserve a Toyota 4Runner for the Thanksgiving week, and they said they were out of 4Runners. All they had available was Tacomas. I went ahead and reserved a Tacoma just to have something reserved, and then I realized that it was going to be a little too small. We were taking the 2 dogs with us. We were taking a fairly large dog kennel, and then all of our luggage. And I decided to take the Tundra because I don't see any reason why I can't. It drives great on the highway. It's got plenty of power. It's heavy. The semi-trucks don't seem to blow it around nearly as much as the Avalon. It's got plenty of passing power, and the inside cab room is spacious for 3 people.
Yep, let's take a closer look at it. See what's going on here. So one of the things that I like about the Tundra, and believe it or not, we actually had a Tundra just like this, different color. It was the gold color, that teal color, whatever you want to call it. But we had a Tundra, limited, pretty much the same package. It was a 2-wheel drive TRD off-road package, which was always interesting to me because the TRD you automatically assume is going to be like a 4-wheel drive off-road package.
Yeah.
Until you realize that half of them aren't 4-wheel drive, right?
Yep, I realized that it was just a suspension upgrade, and I think it was just Rancho shocks. They just gave you more like an off-duty shock. I think it was the only thing that the TRD off-road package gave you.
Yep. Now, something interesting, I believe, is that a lot of folks who are Toyota fans, and when we had our Tundra, just like every other Tundra owner, we were a Toyota fan at that moment. The ride quality on Tundras, and even to today with the newest models, I don't personally feel is at the same level from a comfort perspective as its domestic counterparts.
No.
So from your perspective as a current Tundra owner, before you put the iBox suspension on, I know you said it was bumpy, but you've had a chance to drive like the Denali. Now, I don't want to, that's a hard comparison because people automatically assume a Denali is like the most comfortable pickup truck out there.
Sure, I would assume the same thing. You associate the word Denali with luxury and comfort.
Yeah.
So you automatically assume it's going to have a really good suspension and really soft, plush suspension. The Tundra, out of all the trucks that I've owned, the stock suspension was the roughest. It was the most bumpy. You felt every little imperfection in the road. And that was something that I wasn't expecting. You know, I knew that Toyota had good reputation for quality, but the ride quality was really not that good. And I decided to switch out the suspension. I didn't know if it was riding rough because the shocks were old, and I didn't want to go back with the stock suspension. I wanted to bring it up a little bit, and that's what made me do the research. And I found a good kit on Toy Tech Lift's website, and that's what I went with. I've had iBox on several of my other vehicles, and I've always been happy with it. And I'm not a big off-road guy. I don't ever go off-road. I just wanted to drive on the regular streets, the roads, which most of the time are pretty bad in our town. But I needed something a little bit more comfortable, and the iBox system works great for me.
Yeah, and I had a chance to ride in it yesterday, and it certainly has a much better ride than, in my opinion, even a new Tundra. So you had an opportunity to drive a new Tundra recently, right?
Yeah, I was interested in buying a new Tundra. You know, I like the way they look, and I didn't really know much about them other than watching some of your videos. So I went to the dealership and I rented one about 3 months ago. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit let down. I felt like I was just driving in a kind of a newer looking version of the truck that I had, and the acceleration and the lag time from the downshifting, it seemed to be more noticeable. I thought my truck, this one here, was way more responsive with the throttle, and I don't know if that's just something that you deal with the turbos and the 10-speed transmission. I don't know, but I felt like there was a little bit more time to get up to speed and pass vehicles. But you know,
yeah, the 5.7 liter V8 that you get in this current model or this edition of Tundra is certainly super responsive. I mean, like when we had ours, it felt like a rocket. You hit the gas and that throttle response was instantaneous. It really took off.
Yeah, it's very, very responsive. I think the 0 to 60 time on this truck is a flat 6 seconds, which is very impressive for a truck.
Yeah, I mean, especially a large crew cab or super crew truck, right?
Yes, for a very heavy truck.
What do they call this? They call this the Crew Max?
The Crew Max,
yeah. Yeah, the Crew Max. And you know, it's interesting though too, because when Toyota first introduced this size of truck, everyone kind of saw this as being, man, that cab looks awkwardly large. But now everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
They're all making these huge cab trucks, and Toyota kind of led in that area of making this enormous cab in the back.
Yeah, the legroom in the back seat is comparable to what you'd see now in the newer trucks, in your newer Denalis. I mean, you have plenty of legroom in the back, and the rear seats actually recline.
Yeah.
Which for my daughter driving over here, for her to be able to recline in the back seat and get comfortable is huge. I thought that was a great feature that Toyota put in.
Still the only truck that has a power back window that drops all the way down too.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh, I love that feature as well. I really do. Especially with the weather like today, you can just roll all the windows down and just cruise. Yeah, that was a feature that that I knew I wanted, but I didn't know if it was standard. So when I went to look at this truck, I think one of the first questions I asked him was, does the back window roll down? And he said yes, and I was like, all right, that checks off another box. So I bought the truck from a military guy that was stationed at Eglin. He took really good care of it, had low miles on it for a 2010. I bought it in 2018. I think I bought it in 2019, just in January of 2019. It had 80,000 miles on it for a 2010, which I thought that was great. And I know that he would have sold it quicker, but he took horrible blurry pictures, and I have to say that was it worked out great for me, because you couldn't even really tell what it was. The pictures were so bad.
Wow.
But I said, you know what, I'm going to contact him just to see, you know, because the price looked good, the mileage looked good, And so all I did was reach out to him and say, hey, can you send me some pictures? And when he sent me the pictures, I was like, oh boy, if he would have put these pictures on the ad, it would have sold the first day.
So thank God to early 1.3 megapixel smartphone cameras, right?
Yeah, I think he was using a flip phone to take those pictures. I mean, it was blurry, really blurry. And
so
he had aftermarket headlights on it. He had some more aftermarket stuff done to it that I kind of took off. I like the headlights that are on it now, kind of the stock headlights. He had some that had the LED lights in there, and it looked okay, but I like more of the clean, the stock look. He had put the rims and the tires on there. He'd put on the WeatherTech vent guards for the windows, and he put on the brush guard on the front. All I've done to the truck since I've owned it, I put the topper on the back, and I did the Toyota lift on it, and that's it. It drives great. Other than the gas mileage, I have no other complaints. It's a great everyday truck. We do pull a boat. I've got a 21-foot Cape Horn. It's got a 140 horsepower Suzuki motor on the back. So once we got everything in the boat, you know, all the ice and all the gear, you know, it's close to 5,000 pounds. And this truck pulls it like it's not even there. Sometimes I forget that I'm pulling the boat. And I never had that experience with the Ford or the Chevy. I always knew I was pulling something. But with the Tundra, maybe it's the 5.7 liter motor. It really has all that torque, and it has the acceleration that it just doesn't seem to be phased by anything I pull. Yeah, with the Ford and the Chevrolet, you know, they pulled the boat just fine, but you knew it was there. You knew you were pulling something. You know, the truck reacted differently. It was a little more sluggish in acceleration, you know, which would be normal when you're pulling something. And I haven't pulled anything bigger than the boat, but the Tundra definitely pulls the boat better than the Ford or the Chevy, in my opinion.
So the next question I ultimately have is when you test drove the new Tundra, what did you think about it? And you've had a chance to drive the Denali now too. You drove it last night.
Yeah,
so
really nice.
What did you think about the new Tundra? What did you like about the new Tundra versus yours?
I think the number one most important thing that I liked about the Tundra was the gas mileage and the performance out of the twin turbo V6 setup. I think it's great. It's economical. It wasn't sluggish. I think the only thing I noticed was when you're cruising at, let's say, 30 miles an hour and you hit the gas a little harder, my truck instantly takes off. Whereas with the newer Tundra that I rented, it took a second. It had to downshift, it had to think a little bit, and then once the power kicked in, it was great. It was just as powerful, I felt, the acceleration. So that was nice. I like the way it looks. It kind of looks like an overgrown Tacoma, which I've always liked the Tacomas. I think they have a really aggressive front end, and so I like that about it. The interior was nice. I did not like the center console where you put your arm. There's a giant cavity there in the middle of that armrest, and I feel like they're not using that space properly. They should put a whole cover there for your arm, because I love the armrest that I have for my Tundra. It's huge, and it's adjustable. I can move it forward and backwards. I didn't like the new armrest in the new Tundra, and a couple of times I was going over some potholes while driving around, and I was watching. Well, the first time I noticed a noise, like a rattling noise coming from the bed, and I said, okay, well, I don't know what that was, and then it kept happening. I was going over rough patches of road, and I could notice that the bed was making the noise. I could look back in the rear view mirror or the side view mirror, and I could see the bed kind of dancing, moving a lot.
And that's on a new truck.
That's on a new truck, and I've never noticed that on my truck, which I know you've told me about the difference in the frames between my Tundra and the newer Tundras.
Yeah, the triple tech versus fully boxed.
Yeah, I've never had, and I drive over the same roads every day with my truck that I did with the rented newer Tundra, and I've never had the bed of my truck make those rattling noises or seem to be bouncing around as much. Now, it was a two-wheel drive Tundra that I rented, and you know, it was stock rims, stock suspension, stock tires and everything, but no load at all. It was just me in the truck most of the time. But I did notice that the bed would make some weird noises going over, you know, different types of terrain or potholes.
Okay, so you drove the Duramax, so you've had a chance to drive this, and I've already ranted and raved about the fuel economy of this thing. I get upwards of 32 to 33 miles per gallon on the highway. In the city, bad driving, I get at least 20 minimum on a bad week. On a good week, I can pull off 25 to 26 miles per gallon on city driving, which is absolutely insane.
It is.
So, and of course, I can compare that to my F450, which gets like 13 and a half miles per gallon on a good day and like 11 miles per gallon on a bad day. So how did you feel about driving this truck? Would you consider a GMC truck after driving this one, especially with that Duramax?
I really like this truck. I drove it last night and I thought, it's very smooth. It's compared to the Tundra, I thought the suspension was a little bit more plush. With the Denali trim package, it looks very sexy. I really like the black with the chrome, as you can tell. That's what I like about my Tundra. I love the black and the chrome. Not too much chrome, but just enough. It makes it look good. And the cab, it's very spacious. I love the touch screens. I love the digital heads-up display there for the, what do you call that? Your cluster, your speedometer.
Yeah, right in the windshield.
That looks really, really cool. And the truck itself, I think I'm leaning more towards something like this, mainly because the ride and the gas mileage. I think the gas mileage is the main reason I'm looking for a new truck. I know I can get a pretty penny for my truck right now, but I want something that's going to be a little bit more economical and gets better gas mileage.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I would honestly say that you need to test drive them all. Test drive an F-150, test drive a Ram, and then even look at other trim packages, because to me, this new body style GMC truck looks really good even if you get it in an SLE or you get it in a lower trim package. The Denali looks great, but the only reason we got the Denali was it was the only truck we could find that had the 3-liter LZO in it that was anywhere within 200 miles from us.
Yeah,
and
that's what you said.
Whenever we were shopping for it, I would have preferred actually a lower trim package. I didn't need the Denali package. And again, they all look really nice. The cool thing about GMC is you get the LED headlights, all the accent lights on every trim, even the work truck trim.
Oh, wow.
Whereas Chevy, you downgrade to like a halogen light bulb when you go to their lower entry model trucks.
And then there are LEDs for the top high
Exactly.
I got you.
But yeah, these are absolutely great trucks. But again, they're all super great, and I definitely recommend driving them all. And I would actually even say I recommend driving another Tundra again, maybe back-to-back driving. Drive one, then drive the other, then drive the other one. That way you really can feel those differences. And the most disappointing thing to me, I think, about the new Tundra is that there was a lot of opportunity there for them to make the fuel economy the standout point of the truck.
Yeah.
That was their opportunity to go from a truck that they knew had really bad fuel economy, at least get it in the 25 mile per gallon range. And I think even if you sacrificed a little power and you sacrificed a little towing capacity, but you were able to get there, I think people would have been really, really pleased with a platform that got them that type of fuel economy.
Definitely.
Yep. The one thing Toyota, I feel, does have going for it, whereas my GMC, it's been a reliable truck. We haven't had any issues with it. The standout feature here is the fuel economy. That diesel gets 100%. It ridiculous fuel economy. The standout feature here with any Toyota truck is its reliability. That's the key. Even with the new V6 twin turbo, it's still reliable. It's a super reliable platform that when you get a Toyota, if you got all three trucks, you got, 4 trucks. You got a Toyota, you got a Ford Chevy or Ford GMC and a Ram, and you had to pick which one that you would trust to take you across the country 5 times without a single issue. I think most people would say, even though I like the features these other trucks may have, the Toyota might be the most reliable feeling truck.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's what Toyota kind of prides itself on, is their reliability. They don't really change if it works, why change it? If it's not broken, you don't need to fix it. So they didn't change a lot of the things that, like their, like the mirrors, for example, your side view mirrors. The new Tundra that I rented was the first one that I saw that they actually changed the button layout and the way that you control the mirror. Yeah, it seems like Toyota knows that they have a reliable product. They pride themselves on it, and they stick with what works.
Yeah.
They're not changing the tailgates on any of their trucks to like all the other manufacturers. And I think that when they do change it, it's going to be a great design. It'll be something that's super functional and is very practical.
Very reliable.
But right now, in the meantime, they're letting everyone else kind of like play around with the tailgates, I don't have a need for any specific kind of tailgate right now. Mine does just fine, but, maybe if my wife needs to get something out of the back, or my daughter when she gets a little bigger, and whatever truck I go with, I'm sure they'll have something that they've come up with that works really well. But this truck fits our purpose. It's great to travel with. The only complaint, like I said, is a gas mileage. It's a great highway vehicle. I like taking it out on the highway and traveling because, like I said, it's heavy, but it rides really well, and it doesn't get blown all over the road when it's windy conditions or you got a lot of semi trucks out there.
For sure.
It seems very planted.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate it. We're going to try to shoot some more content while I have him in town. He might start his own YouTube channel, so this is going to be good practice for that. But hopefully you all have enjoyed the video and him talking about the previous trucks he has. He's not the kind of person that goes out and buys super new, brand new trucks with like 5 miles on them. He's bought a lot of pre-owned vehicles. He's the average truck buyer, in my opinion. The one who wants to go out and get a good value, good deal, a reliable vehicle with the features and amenities that he needs for his family without overdoing it. So the next truck he gets is probably going to be a lot newer vehicle, and we're going to have an opportunity to really check it out and see how it performs. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the collaboration. We're going to try to do more. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Take care, guys.